So in this video, I will be doing AKS 40, use the process of factoring, completing the square and quadratic functions to show zeros and whatnot. So first, we have our equation right here. First off, we are trying to factor, so we have to make sure one side of the equation is equal to 0, which we have right here. So next, we want to factor what multiplies together to get 14, and what adds together to get 9, which would be -2 and -7. So we would put, because right here, as you can see, x squared, we would put 2 x's, x, and then -2, -7. And that would equal to 0. So both of them want to be equal to 0. So we would put x minus 2 is equal to 0. And x minus 7 is equal to 0. And then we would do the equation. So the arithmetic is to get 0 inside the parentheses right here. So we want to make x minus 2 equals 0, or we will take x minus 7 equals to 0. Now, in both cases, we want to solve the equation. So add 2 to both sides. Sorry, add 2 to both sides right here. And that would give us x equals 2. And then we want to add 7 to both sides over here. And that will give us x equals 7. Which would give us x, equals to 7. So this would be our first equation for AKS 40. So now we have our 2 solutions to our quadratic equation. So remember that a quadratic equation can have either 2 solutions or 1 solution, depending on the problem. So on to our next equation. The first thing we want to do is make both sides equal to 0. So what I'm going to do is subtract 3 from both sides. And I would get, 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. And that would equal to 0. So now I had to be more careful for when I factor because of my 2x squared. But now let's factor. So we would put 2x Okay, so adding positive 1 and -3 would be our factors because our 2x and our -3. Oh, let me put it down so it will be less confusing. So +1 and our -3, and that would equal 0. These would be our factors because our 2x and -3 would give us our -6x. Then we will have our +1x, which would give us our -5x. Then we'd still get our -3. So next we want to set our parentheses to 0. So 2x plus 1 equal to 0, and x minus 3 equal to 0. Okay. So next we will just have to solve our equation. So 2x plus 1, we would subtract 1 from both sides. That will give us 2x equals negative 1. So that would give us x equals negative 1/2. So that would be the solution for this one. Then we want to do this one, add 3 on both sides. Now it give us x equals 3. So then we would have our two solutions to this equation. Our x equals 3 and our x equals negative 1/2 would be our solutions for this equation. So this is AKS 40.